Good morning, everybody. Welcome back for another dispatch. And I'm going to read from something. I'm going to continue to read from this book. But before I do that, I just wanted to mention I just finished listening to a lovely conversation, an interview with George Saunders, the writer, the novelist. And it was on a really worthwhile podcast, Time Sensitive. I'll put a link in the email, in the Substack newsletter. Um, and he said something that I thought was great. He was talking about if you feel like the world is dull, you probably are suffering from a dull mind. I'm paraphrasing, but he's using the word dull. If you feel like the world is dull, you're probably experiencing a dull mind, your mind, right? He said, but a good sentence, whether you're writing it or you're reading it, can change that. It can shift the way you experience the world. A good sentence, speaking as a writer. And I was thinking this last week, I was participating in the Boulder Plein Air Festival, going out every day and painting. It had been quite a while since I really went out every day and painted outdoors. And it was great. I mean, the community was great. Lovely experience, really nice. And if anyone is in the area, there's an exhibition of the work that's up. A lot of work, beautiful stuff. A lot of fun. But it also, of course, changed the way I saw the world. So now I'm driving around, it's like, and everything starts to, well, it's just more interesting, the forms, the space, the light, but in somehow in just a different experience of being in the world. Anyway, just putting that out there. Aesthetic engagement. It's really we've got this funny, it's not so funny. We have, our world is so ruled by values of utility. And we've shorn utility from aesthetics. And it's a pity. But also, aesthetics has real practical impact, consequences. Anyway, okay, yes. And I'm writing about that actually in this book. Speaking of which, okay, so I'm going to now jump to part two, Se section two, section two, and I'm going to read from the first chapter of section two, an energetic weave. So I'll just read some of this and we'll see where we get to and how long. And we have sound, we're good. Cool. So in the section above, we looked at the painting journey through the lens of an individual creative maker, right? I'm just talking about the three stages of a painting journey, the gathering stage, integration, stage of pursuit, more mature work. I talked about some of that in the last uh, dispatch. The lens of an individual creative maker. This is painting as a human depth activity. Painting here serves to bring a person more fully into an intimate experience with the texture and feel of their life. Painting is not merely an activity resulting in a picture to place on a wall. It can be that, of course. But more essentially, painting provides the painter the means to explore their own life in a felt and meaningful way. Beyond the individual painter's personal journey, painting carries the power to bring the painter and their audience, the maker and the receiver, into closer contact with each other as a shared human depth activity. How does this work? What does this human depth activity look like in a social context? How does painting function interpersonally and socially? Before attempting to answer this question, we need to understand more about the aspect of presence. When a maker brings themselves deeply into their making, they bring a strong vibrational resonance, their life force, into the actual material, in this case, paint. As mentioned earlier, it is not simply the depiction and image that carries power. It is the very material itself. This resonance is experienced as presence. When the viewer is receptive to the object, temperamentally inclined, the viewer literally receives the vibrational energy of the maker's life force and begins to vibrate in sympathy. This sympathetic vibration is the same one referenced in the section above when describing the value of drawing from actual paintings as opposed to reproductions. This is the tuning fork effect in action. Paintings are energetic transmitters. This is how paintings refresh and renew. Painting, and indeed all aesthetic form, plays an essential role in utilizing the body, the five senses, and perception to realign the individual with the depth of life and with being's essence. The apparently separate self, the individual person that most of us take ourselves to be, has the opportunity through aesthetic experience to reconnect and realign with our true essential being. Underneath and within the experience of ourselves as a person, with a personality and a particular history, is simply sheer being. Being is self-aware. The sense of self that each of us has at its core is being's awareness of its self. Being's essential self is our essential self. There is only one self. Painting has the power to awaken. From the perspective of the material world, the world of form, painting serves to relieve, to delight, and to enrich our lives. From the perspective of self-aware being, painting serves to bring us back through the senses to our essential self. In this way, in social terms, painting functions to bring us from a belief in the fundamental separation of self and other to an understanding of shared being. Painting serves as a vehicle to transfer energy from one person to another, which is in truth not actually a transfer at all, but rather a felt recognition within the viewer of the one continuous, self-aware field of being. When I stand in front of a Rembrandt self-portrait, it is not only the invitation of his gaze which brings me into a greater intimacy with the texture of my life. As I'm drawn into the power of the painting, as I gradually move from the encounter into a place of openness, becoming more receptive, and through this receptivity, more vulnerable, I begin to drop into a sympathetic vibration with Rembrandt's very life force. Rembrandt's vibrational life force still is. It has become embedded in the paint. As I allow myself to feel into the fullness of this energy, as I receive it through my eyes, my own experience of being clarifies and strengthens. And what at first appears to be two different energies reveals itself to be, through a kind of energetic distillation, one continuous energetic field. What began as two apparently distinct entities, one, a self-aware person, bound as a physical body, the other, a mute, inanimate object, presenting a picture, a two-dimensional image made out of colored mud and oil, reveals itself to be two temporary permutations of one continuous, self-aware field of being. As I stare at Rembrandt's self-portrait, I meet myself, not psychologically, as the personality and apparently separate self of Jordan, but as my essential self. Painting is a means for awareness to meet itself through the play of material form. Perception becomes a means, a vehicle for self-realization. Maybe a little more. This begins to describe the encounter between the individual painter and the individual viewer. How does this interaction play out in the larger social arena of world and culture? Our shared aesthetic experiences carry the familiar power of community and communing. We experience this often at concerts, theaters, movies, poetry readings, art exhibitions, book groups. When the presented form is engaged on a deep level, there is a shared energy among all the participants. When the form stems from our core being and arrives at its own essential wholeness, this communal sharing brings a radical sense of possibility and freedom. This is a shared sense of there is a shared sense of inherent goodness and felt meaning. After a stirring concert, for example, there is a palpable sense of shared energy between the audience and the musicians. Because our culture tends to conceptualize experience in terms of separate individuals, we often miss these energetically shared experiences and the opportunities they offer to strengthen, enhance, and cultivate them. The sense of shared being carries enormous healing power. The daily experience of separation, the daily experience that I am a separate being and entity, isolated from other people, isolated from the world, even if this is not rooted in a particularly traumatic event, which it so often is. This daily experience over time becomes a dense weight, a burden which veils and which we almost all carry. Aesthetic form, and here specifically painting, carries the potential to dissolve this veil, this burden, and consciously reunite our essential awareness with our shared being. That is, with others and the world. The sense of isolation is a terrifying thing. It is also an illusion. Aesthetic form carries the power to dissolve the illusion. The ways in which form can do this are as innumerable as there are people. All right, it goes on. I'm going to pause. It's dense. It's good. It's dense. All right. So, okay, time to paint. I hope you're all well, making stuff, staying steady. Okay. Take care, everyone. Be well.